other big news making the rounds has to do with transport fares, and transport fares have gone up from today. The 15% increase was announced by commercial drivers last week. We are also told that the transport fare increase follows the latest increase in fuel prices as a result of the partial implementation of the petroleum deregulation policy. The increment was agreed upon after a meeting with stakeholders. Now, the deregulation policy triggered a 4% upward adjustment in the price of petroleum products. And our fuel last week, so the third of such fuel price increases has been since January this year. And our reporter Sandra Amakwe has been to a number of filling stations and transport yards, spoken to some drivers, and has joined us on the line to tell us exactly what the situation has been in the transport, the trotros especially, and then also other transport yards. Sandra, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. Where have you been and what can you report?
Martin, I can say that I've been to the Lorry station in Accra, and I can confirm that the drivers have started charging the 15% increment. So let's say those who were charging 1 CD 20 pesos now are now charging 1 CD 40 pesos. If you're charging 1 CD 40 pesos previously, you're supposed to be charging 1 CD 60 pesos. And if you're charging 1 CD 50 pesos, you're supposed to be taking 1 CD 70 pesos. And for the long distance, the increment is between 30 pesos to 50 pesos. So those who are charging 2 CDs are now charging 2 CDs 30 pesos, and those who are charging 3 CDs are now charging 3 CDs 50 pesos. So let's take, if you're coming from Tema Station to 37, you will now be paying 1 CD 40 pesos, a previous of 1 CD 20 pesos. And if you are moving from Tema Station to Kolebu, and previously it was 1 CD 10 pesos, you're supposed to be paying 1 CD 30 pesos. From the passengers I spoke to, they are complaining that the 15% increment is just too high. They're saying that probably the drivers could have charged a 10% or 5% increment. From the drivers and the maids that I spoke to also, Martin, I can say that they're saying that this morning they haven't had any confrontation with the passengers like it will usually happen in the morning when transport fares are increased. They're saying that the reason is because the announcement was made during the weekend, and so passengers were aware about the increments, and so this morning they haven't had any confrontation with them.
All right, thank you very much, Sandra Amakwe.